You should just hit record.
I did.
Okay.
This episode of Says Who is brought to you by you through your support of our Patreon at patreon.com/sayswho, our Patreon, where pretty much every Sunday, at least the ones that I remember, I think I forgot this past Sunday, which we'll get to, and I apologize for that. So this Sunday, for sure, you will get an entire extra episode of this very podcast. You will get me and Maureen doing a little thing we call the Town Watch, which is shorter, looser, and great. And that's if you give it the $5 or $10 a month level. That $10 a month level also gets you a sticker in the mail every month, which are literally, as I'm recording, being packed up by a 9-year-old and mailed to you. So yeah, and they're great. They're really great. Anyway, patreon.com/sayswho.
Hold on, my tissue.
Jesus Christ.
Just 1 second.
Absolutely. What the fuck?
Listen, you guys. Death at Morning House is out in 1 week.
Listen to your voice.
It's fine. Death at Morning House is out in 1 week.
Go ahead.
1 week. There's so many things you can...
Okay, sorry.
There's so many ways you can pre-order it, and so many things you can get if you do. If you go to my website, you can find links to pre-order signed and personalized copies.
Jesus Christ.
From both US and UK bookstores. You can also, if you pre-order, any pre-order gets in the US gets a free gift. You'll see that link too. And then also, if you pre-order from Barnes & Noble, you'll also automatically be entered into sweepstakes to win a bunch of cool crap. That's on my website too, and it's also on like Instagram and stuff. I'm also building a TikTok. I'm very slowly. Please follow me on TikTok at Maureen Johnson Books, I think. And but like if you pre-order and stuff, God bless you. I'll be going on tour in a week. St. Louis, Chicago, Tempe, Arizona, Frisco, Texas, Boulder, Colorado, Lexington, Kentucky. I think that's all of the Death at Morning House.
If you'd like to pre-order Death at Morning House, you can always go to kickbezosintheballs.org, our own little bookshop. Where we have Maureen's books, we have my book, we have other stuff. We got good stuff. Anyway, you can go to kickbezosintheballs.org. And if you're ordering stuff on the internet, you can always go to merch.sayswhopodcast.com, where we have a bunch of Says Who merchandise, or you can go to shop.dansinker.com, where I sell some patches to you. Yeah, that's great. Hey, Maureen, how are you?
Well, sick, but look, man, did you ever see that movie Uncut Gems?
I didn't know.
Me neither, but I think it's about a guy who's just like trying to run, you know, if he just manages to pull all this stuff up, he'll like repay somebody and get away with something. That is how I feel right now, because I am finishing a book this week, doing all the stuff for the release of A Morning House next week. And then, like, you know, trying to just get ready to be on the road for most of a month. And I did, as I mentioned, get sick.
It's hard to tell. You sound great.
Look what I made in this Stardew Valley mug.
Tea?
It's herbal tea, every kind of herbal tea. You just trick is you put every tea bag in. There's got a throat coat. We got a turmeric. We got ginger. I put a big slice of fresh ginger in there. Sprig of mint. Some lemon slices. And you drink it hot. And it helps you talk, so you sound better.
Well, everyone is none the wiser that you're sick. You sound great.
This cold is from Bosnia. My sister-in-law caught it in Bosnia.
No, good.
And then I got it from her. So It feels like I'm keeping it in the family. I kind of like it.
It was all Says Whovians who are a day delayed in hearing this are now furiously searching the news for a big Bosnian flu outbreak in New York City.
It's not that bad.
Your patient, it sounds bad.
It's just a cold where you just get a little snuffly.
You sound good.
Welcome. Come on.
I mean, I'm waiting for you to finish.
So you didn't give me your little frowny.
I didn't.
Face.
I kind of knew it was coming that time.
Successu, the podcast, not a podcast.
It's a coping strategy. I am Dan Sinker.
I'm Maureen Johnson.
Jesus Christ, Maureen.
It's just that my throat is gravelly.
At least in barely more than a week, you aren't going to need your voice constantly.
Listen, by the time I finish this big hot cup of throat coat tea at the end of the episode, I think you're going to hear that I sound less congested and less gravelly. And I just need to be well and for nothing else to go wrong.
Well, that seems fine.
I did break a tooth.
All right. You're back from the UK.
Well, yes. Even though getting back was a bit unexpectedly challenging.
Okay.
Because
go on.
We were about to leave for the airport. We were staying with my brother and sister-in-law. And then Virgin Atlantic called and they're like, hello. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you're not going to be on your plane today. And I said, why? Is it canceled? And they said, no, but there was an aircraft change and your seat doesn't exist anymore. So we're putting you on a plane tomorrow unless you could be here in 2 hours. And I said, I can't be there in 2 hours. And I said, what about the 8 p.m. flight? And they said, that's canceled. So we stayed there one more night. And then we went the next day and got to Heathrow, where it was an absolute fuck show because all of this was knock-ons of the global IT outage.
Yeah.
So the global IT outage was still, while over, was still kind of rolling effects were happening.
Yeah.
Which I think really bodes well for somebody who's about to go to 6 cities in 7 days in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, should be fine.
On planes.
Yeah.
Exclusively.
Yeah.
Well-timed planes that coincide with events.
Yeah, in order that need to leave and arrive basically on time for you to be able to pull off the...
In the same day, it would be ideal, but you know.
It'll be fine.
So we spent one more night in England where we walked to the pub with a dog.
Okay.
And we met our cousins who brought their dog. My sister-in-law brought her dad, and we all sat outside in the English garden with dogs, having dinner on Richard Branson, because I was like, you'll be paying for this, Richard Branson. And we all hang out with dogs and had dinner. And then while I was eating my very soft roasted eggplant, I felt something real crunchy happen. And I went, oh, man, that was my tooth. So part of my tooth broke off. I think it was a crown, though. It wouldn't be like me if like part of my tooth didn't fall off.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. What's a little emergency dental surgery?
And they're not going to do it. If it's a crown that's broken, I'll just be like, well, we'll have to fix it when we get back because I'm not going to let you take it off now. I'm about to go to 6 cities in 7 days. Yeah. And I'm sick.
Yeah.
I should probably just not go to this dentist appointment, but I just want to make sure it's not like...
you should go.
Like,
I think you should go.
I'm saying that, Dan, the things I have to do
like hell
by the end of the week is I have to finish a book.
Okay. Easy.
Do all this stuff to prepare for the release there, because I'm learning. It's like make TikTok videos, do this, write this interview, pack to get ready, everything ready to go, help Oscar find out everything he needs, because Oscar's helping me run the back end. They're doing a back end fix of my website. They're fixing a bunch of email stuff that's you have to confirm that you own domains. That also, it's like a constant barrage of shit.
Yeah.
And every time, and I don't get stressed anymore when people write to me and ask me to do stuff. It just feels like I'm in a fun race where I'm just I am always, but I'm if I can just keep running fast enough, eventually when I stop, all these things will crash into my back and I'll get them all done at once.
Mm-hmm. That's how things work. Definitely.
Tasty tea.
definitely that's how things work.
How are you?
I'm okay, though I realize now in this lighting with this camera, I'm really sweaty.
Oh, look at that.
Look at how gross that looks. My shirt's all gross.
I thought that was a shadow, but now I see it's sweaty.
I know, it's gross. I'm sorry.
Man.
I apologize to you. It's very humid. And
Is it?
Yeah, it's very humid here. And I was running around doing a few things before we got here. But beyond being sweaty, I am okay. I was away this weekend. Here's the thing that's funny is like we were away in Colorado, right? For a week or whatever. During the week that everything happened, we were away. Then we came back, and then we immediately went away again this past weekend. Because I was at a memorial. I was at, essentially, somebody described it to me. They're like, I've never been to a destination funeral before. But I was at a destination funeral, which I'll talk about in a second. So we were away this weekend. We're back and we're home this weekend. And then next weekend, we leave to start the drive out to take the teen to college. So,
oh no.
It's funny because this summer kind of felt like, oh, it's a real chill, we're not doing a lot summer. And now suddenly we are just in constant motion. Just absolute constant motion. It is feels like chaos around here now. But we're getting through it. But this weekend, Maureen, I was as I said, I was at a destination funeral. It was a memorial celebration of Steve Albini, the music producer and musician that we talked about, who died in May. It was very, very sad. And it was, Maureen, incredible.
That's great.
It was such a way to mark someone who has impacted and touched so many lives by assembling the communities of people that, around to just, it was really amazing. Like, as a person that has built communities in my life, including this Says Who community that surrounds us, like, is so beautiful to see all of these communities show up, They sent invites out like a month ago. There were people from all over the world that came out, It was at a really beautiful beach hotel in northern Illinois, and was right along the lake. They had music all weekend, just playing it in this tiny little gazebo, It was absolutely wonderful. I came back from it really, really moved in the best possible ways, and remembering like that, God, community is super important. Anyway, that's me.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. Or, as you said, it was also amazing.
I sent you a picture of my favorite vegetarian restaurant here in New York. Superiority Burger had a big sign out front. And instead of menu items, it said, "Thank you, Steve Albini."
Yeah, this was all time because his birthday was last Monday. It was the 22nd. So, and they had put a request out for as many people as possible to put "Thank you, Steve Albini" out there and all of that. But it was really amazing. It was also kind of bananas because I got to like talk to people that are my personal heroes, and they invited families. So like the kids were there with me, and Janice was there, and it was just really, really
Are you
nice.
allowed to say anyone who was playing the music?
Well, all the music actually was live streamed. So,
okay.
So yeah, the Breeders played.
Wow.
And, Jeff Tweedy played, and Dave Pajo from Slint. He did. There were two performances that will forever stick with me. Dave Pajo did a solo performance. He just played a single song. He did a solo performance of the Pretenders' 2,000 Miles.
Wow.
Which is like a Christmas song, right? But like, it was so beautiful. and so
That's
moving.
a good song.
Is a very good song. I had forgotten how good a song it was, but the way
song.
he performed it, which was just guitar and the sound of crashing waves behind him because the lake was right there. It was truly, truly beautiful. And then just a local act who are very well connected with Steve, a husband and wife called Holly and Bobby. They performed a Jason Molina song called Doing Something Wrong, that, first of all, any Jason Molina song makes me almost always break into tears because, one, they're very beautiful. Two, he is another person who died before he should have. But that song is especially beautiful. So it was just interesting because it was like this celebration, but then like people were just constantly crying. It was really wonderful.
Well, that sounds like the mood in America 2024.
Yeah. It was sort of that.
Celebrate, but you're just still crying.
Yeah, but it was great. It was really, really nice. But I feel fully and completely upended now because like we barely got home from Colorado and then we went to this thing and now we're going to barely be back and then we're going to be heading out again. So I feel a little bit stressed.
It's been a lot of stuff and I feel that. What's also weird, Dan, is trying to explain the mood of America to your very either reserved or I don't know how to put it, but your English relatives who are either really reserved and don't want to hear your weird hyperbolic bullshit, or just are kind of almost like not unbelieving, but it's just like it's when I just try to say like it's really weird and we're all really freaking out. Even if we're happy, we're all really confused all the time. And they're sort of like, okay, but, we've got crazy things here. Like, I forgot to buy eggs. And I'm like, it's
it's not the same.
It's really not the same. And I feel like we're going to get into it. That this last week has been a real, it's like we've been in therapy for a long time and we made a breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
But the breakthrough has manifested. It's kind of literally when this breakthrough broke off, it's a weird little breakthrough thing. And it just started to float away and have a little life of its own. This little like part of our collective consciousness that went, oh, I get it. And then it went wee like a balloon. And then it went on balloon adventures around the world.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Well, should we get into it?
I think we should.
Sounds
it's
great.
Only when I should really try not to emphasize things too much. I think that's where I go wrong.
Your voice actually sounds very, very similar to mine when I was in puberty.
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
There were multiple people in my high school because people are very thoughtful that called me Gonzo during that time. Because my voice was just constantly doing this. Basically, the drive-thru kid is what I sounded like.
Maybe I'm the other the other employee at the drive-thru restaurant.
You might be. You sound
girlfriend.
Like it.
Hey.
Anyway, Maureen Johnson, it has barely been more than 1 week.
Remember last week when we talked about what a week had, all the stuff that had happened in a week?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, less happened this week. Thank fucking God.
Less happened in terms of events, but I think more has happened psychologically.
Yes. I mean, so that is the wildest thing to me. It has been barely more than 1 week since Joe Biden dropped out. He dropped out on a Sunday afternoon, right? And it's definitely been barely more than 1 week since Kamala Harris emerged as sort of the bulletproof candidate, which was really more like a Monday afternoon thing. We are recording this on Tuesday afternoon, so we're talking about 8 days, right?
Who the fuck knows what's going to happen?
And in that 8 days, first of all, it feels a lot longer than that. Like, it feels like Kamala Harris has been the candidate for weeks and weeks, if not longer than that, I would say, to me, in my head and my body. Anyway, in that short amount of time, everything has changed up.
Yeah, it's just like a different place now.
Yeah. Kamala Harris has raised over $200 million in a short week. Polls which have only just started kind of eking out, and we will really see the kind of ramifications of over the next few weeks. Polls are showing her taking the lead or significantly at least eating away at Trump's lead in battleground states, not just nationally. They have been holding calls for every possible demographic group, essentially. And every time one of those calls happens, they raise millions of dollars from each of these groups, and they are organizing calls, not just fundraising calls. So they have brought in 100,000+ new volunteers. There have been, I think, Vote.org announced that in the 36 or 48 hours after Harris's announcement, they registered more new voters than the last time Taylor Swift told people to vote. Like that, they beat that number. There is just this real palpable sense of excitement and momentum in the last week that has not existed since, I don't know, 2016.
It feels even more, I'm going to say it feels a little 2008.
It does. They released an ad a few days in set to Beyonce's song
Freedom.
Yes. And that ad, I shared it to some friends, and this has some real summer 2008 vibes, right? Like it just felt like that. Like where suddenly you had a candidate, this was true in 2008, and it feels sort of true now. A candidate that you are actually excited about versus the one that you're voting for. And that, I guess that's sort of, I think we're discounting. There were folks very excited about Hillary Clinton, right? But this feels different.
It feels really different. And also what's everybody's kind of expressing in various ways is how fucking funny it is. Because it was like, the way I imagine it is that there was a room full of like people in their 20s and 30s that they had been chained up in the basement somewhere. While the Biden campaign was like, why don't we release a wax cylinder that says, oh, vote for Biden, with a barbershop quartet singing, oh, vote for Biden, straw hats in the summertime. And then they moved all that aside and let everyone out of the basement. And they already had plans. And they're like, they just pressed a button and 50 billion TikToks went out.
Yeah.
All at once, covered in brat green. And just, but what's more amazing, and we'll certainly get to it, is the fact that it feels like they just picked up the whole Trump machine like a giant robot, and they're just holding it, and the wheels are spinning, and it's just like, you thought you were a thing? You're not a thing.
The level of vibe shift in every possible way is remarkable. And it is hard to know how much of this was spontaneous, right? And how much of this was orchestrated. Either way, it's amazing.
It feels like pent-up energy that has exploded out into the universe.
Yeah, it really, really does.
And it has a whole different feel. And it really is this feeling of, oh, we're not in the slightest bit afraid of Trump.
Right.
Like, he's nothing.
Yeah.
But what's really great... Can we just get into it, Dan?
Oh, yeah. That's the next thing on the notes, Maureen.
I mean, look. First of all, before all the shit hit the fan with them, they announced J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Weird neckbeard man.
Yeah.
As the VP.
Yeah.
Because somebody wanted him.
Right.
No demographic. He's just some guy
Yeah. Doesn't do anything to broaden the ticket. He's just sort of a double down on Trumpism.
Right.
He seems to not have much that he stands for any period of time. He shapeshifts according to whatever the needs are, and currently he has shapeshifted into, Trump 2, so that Trump will choose him. The only things that he seems to hold dear is a deep hatred of women. That seems to be number one. That seems consistent throughout all of his various personas. Is a real misogyny that he's happy to bring up at any moment. But, and I know where we're going here. But I want to just detour us slightly back up.
Okay.
Because we'll get to this. Okay. Everyone knows where we're going.
I mean, I'm willing to take the slow road.
The thing that to me is the most remarkable thing about this week is not the money. It's not the just straight vibe shift. It's that all wholly and completely at once, every Democrat with a microphone in front of them all realized, hey, you know what? Fuck this if they go low, let's go high shit. Let's call these people what they are, which is fucking weirdos.
It's so good.
And Maureen, I hope that you and I feel a level of vindication on this, because if there is one consistent message from the last 8 years of the Says Who podcast, it's just how fucking strange all of these people are.
Yes. They're just weirdos.
They are just weirdos.
And this is the part where I say it's like we had a breakthrough, and the breakthrough broke through and started to fly up in the sky like a cloud, and that cloud just says weird, and it's just flying around the world. It just says weird, weird, weird. They're fucking weird. And they try to fight back and say, all they've got is they're calling us weird. And we're like, you're weird for saying it. And we just, everything they do, it means nothing. It's so funny. It's like, everything is too smooth now, Dan. It's like everything is gliding. I don't trust it, and yet I'm excited.
It is an absolute textbook case of how you can declaw the bully instantly.
Yeah.
And I see that, one of the ways the weird stuff is really working is that sort of the milquetoast centrists are like, well, we shouldn't be doing these schoolyard taunts and blah, blah, blah. But it is absolutely amazing to see, because the argument has always been, well, we should be using the messaging that we've always used, which is these people are dangerous, right? These people are a threat to the country, which is all true, but also kind of cool in a guy in a leather jacket smoking a cigarette on a motorcycle way, right? Yeah. Like, I'm dangerous. But if you're a fucking weirdo, you're just a fucking weirdo. And all the shit that sounded like you were dangerous just sounds extra weird now.
And also, what really gets them is the fact that sort of the rest of us, they're like, if they called us weird, we'd be like, uh-huh. Yeah, it doesn't bother us in the slightest. We're like, okay, what do you want? Do you want fries with that? Like, we don't care. But if you call them weird, they don't know what to do.
Right.
They're like, you're just weird.
Because they're all weird, little insecure men.
And if you don't get mad, they don't know what to do.
Right.
They don't like being laughed at. It's just not something they cope with well.
No, they do not like being laughed at. I mean, that's been Donald Trump's Achilles heel from day one, right?
Yeah, if you just laugh at him.
His Joker origin story is that Barack Obama told a joke about him, and he was basically like, "Well, now I'm going to become president and ruin everyone." It is wonderful. There's nothing fucking funnier than watching, and it's been this little snowball, right? Like, started, and the Harris people have been very good at from jump, almost kind of calling it out, but now it's like everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
It is absolutely wonderful and the weirdest of the weirdos, Maureen. Now we'll come back to JD Vance.
This is a rich meal. I'm going to sit back in my chair. I'm going to put on my little napkin at my neck.
So, as said before, this man has a deep-set hatred of women, which is an attack line and a correct attack line all on itself. But a much more effective line on JD Vance is the one that emerged seemingly out of nowhere earlier this week and has now taken on a life of its own, which is the man fucks couches.
I've heard it so many times, and yet it's like a spring that constantly renews, Dan. You want to hear a joke I wrote?
I do.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Hey, JD Vance, how's your date going? So far, so good. That's good, right?
I like it.
Even the New York City Sanitation Department, which is currently forming a rat squad, and we're not going to talk about that, started posting things like, have a sofa you want to get rid of? Even the New York City fucking Sanitation Department that just figured out what trash cans are is laughing at you and saying that you fuck couches.
My favorite moment in the JD Vance couch meme was a few days in when suddenly every sort of like tutty news organization were like, well, we're going to put a stop to this by fact checking that JD Vance did not, in fact, fuck a couch. But the beauty is, it doesn't matter if it's true or not.
No.
Your own headline of fact check, no, JD Vance did not have sex with a sofa, is funny as hell.
This is a rhetorical device that's frequently used. I remember hearing a very specific example of it connected to Lyndon Johnson, who would say, what you do is you call your opponent a pig fucker. It doesn't matter if he is or he isn't. What matters is that you go out there and you make him say, I'm not a pig fucker. And in this case, it is arguably much funnier to have go out there and say, you know what? Not only would I be a great vice president, but I don't fuck couches.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's very funny. And all their time is spent, we're like, no matter what they say or what they do, like, you're weird and you have sex with couches. And that's it. Over and over. You're weird and you fuck couches.
Yeah.
Good luck with your thing.
It is remarkable.
It is. Dan, what if we could go back and tell January 2024 us all that we've been through? That we would be able to say, we got through this, it was a slog. Biden, we would tell them about that debate. We'd be sad. We would tell them that immediately after that, Trump was shot. We'd be like, oh my God. And then we would say, and then Biden got COVID, and we'd say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then we would say, and then he dropped out, like Maureen said, she got a pina colada. No, sorry, a Dole Whip.
I mean, you can get a pina colada if you want.
I think I must be trying to manifest something. And then, I could probably have a hot toddy tonight with like a little whiskey or something.
Oh, hot toddy's great for a cold.
Okay. And then we would say, but then he drops out. Kamala Harris appears. Everything turns bright green. All the celebrity music turns up within 24 hours. And then everyone just says Trump is weird and his VP fucks couches. And it would all happen within a couple of days, seemingly on its own.
Yeah.
And that would be it. It'd be like, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you're a weird guy who fucks couches. And every message they put out is I am so excited by the person that's like, every time Trump goes out and speaks, we will cut up the video, we will post it, and then we put some sentence above that's like the narrator speaking in Arrested Development that's like, you're a weirdo. You're a giant fucking weirdo. Say what you want, you giant fucking weirdo. Hey, weirdy beardy, where's your couch friend? Doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Years ago now, this would have been whatever election John Kerry ran for. Right? What was that? Bush? The Bush Kerry?
Kerry was the swift boat one.
Yeah. They swift boated him, but they also...
I believe that was Obama. No, sorry. I'm crazy. Right before that, yes. They swift boated him. It was a Bush
they
too.
swift boated John Kerry, but they also they portrayed him as a flip-flopper. Right. And a long time ago, this was after that election, I ended up at a fancy shindig that a big nonprofit held, right? And afterwards, people went out to a bar, and there were like 5 folks at the table. It was me, like a Democratic operative type. I don't like probably another journalist style person, then a Republican operative, right? And I probably drank a little too much. I was very upset with him. But what I was upset with was his job was to show up at John Kerry events wearing a big flip-flop. And we just need that kind of energy to show up to JD Vance stuff in a big couch costume.
Oh, 100% that's going to happen. I am thrilled. You know what? Democratic National Convention, if you're not sponsored by a sofa company, if you don't have like a whole sofa area that you like put up special signs in, like these sofas are like reserved for seating only, like just like really funny signage that's like only sitting, like just you have so many opportunities as an event organizer to have a great time with every seating situation. You could, and that's the thing is that couch is also a verb, like you could just kind of slip it in and say like, well, I was just saying, well, they couch the subject, and you're like, no, I didn't do anything, you fucking weirdo.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just so wonderful. It is such a gift. And then it just has sort of taken on a life of its own. Like, there was sort of a day where instead of couches, he was fucking dolphins for some reason. Oh, yeah,
there was like a dolphin thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, what if he searched for dolphins? And this seems to stick more even than the Ted Cruz accidentally Googling porn thing. And then...
Yeah. Well, in part because the Ted Cruz accidentally Googling or posting porn to his Twitter account.
That's right.
Happened.
Right.
The beauty of JD Vance fucks couches is that to everyone's understanding, it didn't really happen, but that's the best part.
It's so good.
Because even defending it didn't happen. You're just lying about him. You're just saying he had sex with a couch. He didn't really have sex with a couch. It's still great.
And you can just say, I never said you had sex with a couch.
Yeah.
I would never say that you had sex with a couch. Say it over and over and over. And now he's just the couch fucking guy. Yeah. And the rest of them are weirdos.
Yeah.
And now Trump is out there talking all the time. And everyone's like, good for you, you fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
No one's mad. No one's even mad.
Like, some of the bits about JD Vance that always seemed a little odd. Just like the man wears eyeliner
and not well.
I've hung out with Green Day. I understand that men wear eyeliner. It's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. I hang out with Green Day.
I mean, I don't hang out, but I've hung out.
Oh, sorry, sir.
I once went to a show in somebody's backyard in deep suburban East Bay that Green Day played, as did Pinhead Gunpowder, which was another like a Green Day project band. And it was just in somebody's parents' backyard. And the band was set up. And by the end of the show, everyone had completely destroyed this person's mom's tomato plants because there was a giant tomato fight that happened in the middle of the show. Anyway, I'm saying this to say I understand that men wear eyeliner, and that's fine. But JD Vance wearing eyeliner is a little weird. And then JD Vance wearing eyeliner when he's also a couch fucker is especially weird.
Yeah, if you're going to be guys can definitely wear eyeliner.
Sure.
But JD Vance can't.
No.
Because you can't be that guy and wear eyeliner.
Right. You can't be this, salt of the earth.
Right. You can't sit there with your big weird sandwich and say, if women don't have kids, they're worthless, nothing sociopaths, and they should go directly to hell.
Hang on. Let me get my eyes set.
Yeah. Hold on. I just need my eye pencil hold on. Okay. That's right. Women, you're trying too hard. You're trying too hard, JD. Like,
yeah.
It's okay, you fucking weirdo. It's all right. You don't have to go to all this trouble. It's okay, buddy.
It's fine.
You okay there, buddy?
Whatever you do with your couch is fine.
We can fix your eyeliner for you. Like, everyone here knows how to do a good wing. Do not worry about a thing, my dude. You're fine, buddy. Have your sandwich, you poor fucker. Eat your fucking sandwich.
Do you remember, Maureen, when Donald Trump was shot in the head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he was, because now everyone's like, but was he? And I'm like, well, he was. You know,
I think he was. He was at least hit by something in the head.
Let's just say, I don't think he was shot in the head.
No.
I
think
grazed. He was
grazed in the head.
Which is different because otherwise he'd have a bullet in his head. And that's really bad. But, I think he was cut. I think he got, fair enough. You got cut on the ear by a bullet. That's enough to upset anyone.
I would not like to be cut in the head by a bullet.
I'd be freaked out.
Yeah, I'd be a little freaked out.
But now imagine you went through that, okay? Yeah. And you're Donald Trump and you did your weird fist thing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I'm going to ride this to glory. Like I'm in a painting of a guy on a horse. Like,
yeah, totally.
Like on a giant fat horse. And I got a big tricorner hat on and I'm blood down my face. And the next week, everyone's like, you're a fucking weirdo. And your vice president fucks couches. And you get nothing else.
Yeah, you get
you get nothing
else.
You get no cred from it at all.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you're a fucking weirdo.
Hey, weirdo.
Hey, weirdo.
Why don't you go hug a flag?
And everyone's like, oh, remember when you took your shoes off? Remember when your shoes came off when you were doing your weird thing? And you were talking and you got grazed by a bullet and your poor supporters get killed coming out to see your weird fucking speech?
Yeah.
For nothing?
Yeah. Meanwhile, Maureen, the Democrats have done something that I think that they haven't seemed particularly well suited to do in a very long time, which is they are not only commanding the media narrative now, but they have lined things up in such a way that they will probably be commanding it for most of August. This is where I begin to be like, was this the plan all along? Like,
no.
I know that it wasn't, but everything is lining up so perfectly, right? So we have had a week straight of just sort of media domination of the Harris ticket is off like a shot, all of this pent up demand, all of these calls, which are doling out, day after day after day, millions of dollars being raised. The Republicans have not gotten a message in edgewise, which think about the last time that happened, right? Like they cannot break through. Well, we have coming up, Harris has to name a VP before August 7th because for whatever weird reason that I really don't understand, the Democratic National Convention is happening after the first states, I believe Ohio, requires there to be tickets for their ballots, right? So they have always had this plan that they were going to basically do all of the work that would typically happen at a convention, which will still happen at the convention, but is essentially for show, which is the delegates nominate the people. All of that had to happen early. In fact, it was going to happen the week before Biden dropped out. And then there was enough pressure that they were like, well, we'll push it a week or two, right? So that has to happen by the 7th of August, which means she has to pick a VP before August 7th, right? So you have all of these stories now that are beginning to ramp up about like her VP picks and what are the best ones. So you have that kind of narrative happening. Meanwhile, the polls are just going to start dropping. So you have these kind of two parallel media narratives happening, which are, polls which seem like they will be favorable for Harris, overall. So you have those stories. Meanwhile, you have kind of the VP, the Veep stakes, right, kind of coming together, while everyone that is on the possible list is fanning out as much as they can to like essentially cut diss tracks on JD Vance. So you have a week where you have a half dozen people, right? Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, who had everyone's just basically doing stand up now, right? Like, he had a great line about Donald Trump hugging a flag, right? Like, that was good. You have Tim Waltz from Minnesota, who's bringing a real, like, Midwestern passive aggressive, I'm going to call you weirdos and really mean that you're awful kind of energy. You have every single person that's being considered. Buttigieg is, out doing Fox News or whatever, so they're all auditioning. So you've suddenly amplified this message by X number of people. And that will continue through to the point that a decision is being made, which will be around the 7th or so. At which point, then the whole media flips to talking about the VP. You'll get the same sort of like laudatory, stories that we saw with JD Vance for the first couple of days before he started fucking a couch, right? And so then
I think laudatory is generous, but go on.
Well, I mean, there were a bunch of like taking JD Vance's kind of weird personas as like actual this is who he is stories. They dropped. You won't remember them well because they got completely covered up by the Biden might be dropping out stories, right? Anyway. So you get all of that, the kind of like, this is the life of the VP person kind of stories. And that will bring you to about mid-August, at which point you begin to move into the pre-DNC and then the actual DNC stories, which are all about kind of pre-baked media narratives and framing. So basically, Democrats are staring at almost the entire month of August as a bunch of like positive earned media hits. And the Republicans are just weirdos off in the like skulking in the corners, unable to break through.
How upset is Trump right now with the Vance thing? I mean, just wanting to get rid of this guy.
I mean, there are multiple stories that are like even in like right-wing media of like he made the wrong pick. So he absolutely like so this was this so the it seems that the kind of the pressure campaign to do Vance. One, he did like that Vance kissed his ass a lot, right? And I believe when he says like he has beautiful eyes, like I believe that that's part of it. But it seems that the big pressure campaign came from Silicon Valley weirdos, right? People like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, who are bona fucking fide weirdos
and freaking out right now.
Yeah. And also Dojo was a big Vance backer. But Maureen, here's my theory for why JD Vance is the VP. Donald Trump is not a complicated man. Right?
Tell me, say more.
He's got a bit of a smooth brain. He is set in his ways. In that, his whole life is basically lived as if it's still the 1980s, right? He's not a big guy for change. And so he did make a tactical error when he tried to get his vice president killed. Because it meant that if he were to run again for president, that guy probably wouldn't be the vice president.
Right.
Either because they would have succeeded and he'd be dead, or
he'd be sad,
or he might be sad,
right? Because they were going to kill that guy.
They were going to kill that man.
They were going to kill Mike Pence.
And so he had to do a thing that he's not really all that up for, which is change. And I think this is entirely just based on me.
Right.
I think that it was very easy for his little smooth brain to go from Trump Pence to Trump Vance.
Oh,
it basically sounds the same. And so he's like, well, that sounds strong and good, right?
Like he was playing Wordle.
Right. Like he's just like, that's it. That's the thing. Like you couldn't go from, Trump Ramaswamy, right? Like that wouldn't have worked. That's too complicated
it's
for his little smooth brain.
Five letters,
ends the same, right? Like you can imagine how it looks painted on a plane. You can, that all just worked for him. So it was like, not only were these rich weirdos telling him to do it, not only was Dojo saying, this guy's awesome, Dad, but it also just fit in his little smooth brain of like Pence, Vance, great, we're done.
Boom, we solved it. And also, when they first, he probably thought of like Vance, sounds like an 80s car, like a Trans Am or something that looks like real cool and low to the ground. But what Vance looks like now is a kind of weird, rusty, chitty chitty bang bang thing that somebody's like found in a garage, and they're like, I built it myself out of all
Ford
the parts.
Vance was like recalled in like 64.
It explodes sometimes, and it's the only car that farts, and the wheels fall off. It does roll over in the wind. It also, it'll kill your grandma, and it has no front seats. You steer it from the trunk, and it's a bird picked one up and flew it away once, but try the Ford Vance. It's still in litigation. It's it's like the Gremlin or the
Imagine, Maureen.
The Pinto. The Pinto was the one that used to explode.
Imagine that you were in a situation.
Okay.
Where, like, let's say you had a book coming out. You had a co-author for that book.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, well, I need to pick the right co-author. Mm-hmm. It's going to, because this is going to, like, not only will I be getting press because, my book is good and all of that, but the co-author is going to get press too. Yeah. And together we can, like, boom, we're going to, we're
going to
watch out, New York Times bestseller list. Here we come.
Fuck right? Yeah. Uh-huh.
And you spend a lot of time thinking about it, or at least you spend a little time thinking about it, and you choose the person and you announce it, and you're like, this is inevitable now. Like, we are going straight to number one. And then 1 week later, the only headlines you're getting is that your co-author fucks furniture. And that's all you're getting out of this.
That's all
now.
You're getting, yeah. Imagine, it'd be fine if you were someone that, say, had a good relationship with your own ego and a sense of self. You know what I mean? Like, if you're someone who doesn't, like, live or die on every single thing someone said about you, and if, they didn't think you were cool with, like, Ray-Bans and a popped collar, and like they, that if you didn't constantly behave like the bad guy in an 80s movie, like the guy that, says, no problem, Hans, baby. I didn't tell you about the roach.
Excuse me?
Yeah, the day I was going to leave for England, because I got up at 4:30 in the morning to catch the flight.
Yeah.
I come into the bathroom to shower, and I look down. And this does not happen often here. This apartment is like, this does not happen very often.
Yeah.
The goddamn biggest roach I have ever seen. Like, this is like one this is a rider or an eater. You know what I'm saying? Like,
style?
Yeah, like you could like put a little saddle on this one. And it's 4:30 in the morning, and I have to shower in this room, and I'm like, and it scurries. It can barely hide behind the sink because it's so big. And oh God, I just got to deal with the fact. So the reason I thought of this is that I call roaches Hansgrubers.
Right.
Because
I remember you telling me this.
Because I sucked one up in a vacuum once, and then I shot it out of the window. I dumped the cartridge out the window and sent the roach like flying, like at the end of the Nakatomi Tower situation. And I'm like, I got this little Hansgruber running around. I'm like, look, man, I just got to make peace with this Hansgruber. So I just kind of backed him into a corner, and I was like, look, my dude, I'm going to be out of here for like 2 weeks. I'll make you a deal. I'm not going to kill you right now because I don't have time. And, I don't like to kill stuff, but you need to leave. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to trust you to leave. And I haven't thought about him again until now. And now I'm like, that guy, I think I'm going to go in the other room, and it's going to be like very Kafkaesque. I'm going to just see him just sort of sitting there like, hello.
Have you seen Oscar? You sure that wasn't him?
That's true. He didn't have all those legs before. It's great having an unemployed Oscar. I'll tell you what, like he's fixing, he's doing all the things.
Seems like he's employed
kind of
by you.
Yeah, but who wouldn't want that?
Him.
Because everything's going great.
Yeah, you seem great.
Do I sound better? I'm telling you, this tea.
I'll say yeah. You sound great.
I have decided.
Problem solved.
Look, I'm going to take good care because I cannot be sick. After this, I'm going to take an hour-long break. I might get in the tub with like 20 of those like eucalyptus drop-ins to like make the air all eucalyptus-y.
Yeah.
And then you're like, breathe in steam, breathe in the steam.
If this had only hit you before you'd left the UK. You could have gone to Boots and gotten my very favorite drops, throat drops for bad throat. Vocal Zone.
I might have some of those somewhere.
I years ago I was in actually this was literally the day after the 2012 election, because I was at the McCormick Place celebration for Obama, and it lasted for a very long time because Mitt Romney would not concede. So it didn't end until like 2 or 3 in the morning. And the next day we flew to the UK. And between the sort of like cheering and all of that, and then a long dry flight, by the time I landed, my voice was entirely gone, and I needed to speak at this thing that I was going out for. And I went to a Boots, and I was like, I don't have a voice. What can I do? And the little chemist, as they say in that part of the world, was like, these, and handed me a box of Vocal Zone, which are these little black pills that taste awful. Contain, I believe, myrrh, which is like what they gave Jesus when he was born. The first time I ever learned that myrrh was a thing that wasn't just sort of in that one song when the 3 kings show up, but it worked. A couple days later, I had a voice again. Thanks, Vocal Zone.
Or Fisherman's Friend. That shit'll fuck you up.
Yeah, Vocal Zone, though, it contains myrrh.
Well, all right.
And they're black as night.
Well, I've got this tea. I've got all the teas in here. The trick is you never just use one herbal tea. You use as many as I use 2 to 3. Really get every benefit. Get that real like throat coaty one. Lots of lemon and ginger and mint and all. Like shove everything in there. Yeah. Just take like that's the stuff that you go to like a fancy place and they like charge you $9 for one of their like tonics. You just take a cup. You put like some honey or agave, some lemon slices, whatever you got around, and a couple of tea bags. You put that shit in a cup. You're done. I learned to make oat milk. It's so easy. You just blend out some water and you done. Like 10 seconds later, you have oat milk.
Yeah.
It costs like 10 cents.
Yeah, that's how oat milk works.
And it's like good as the stuff. Like I saw that on a TikTok. I was like, I'm gonna try it. I did. I was like, it tastes the same.
You saw how to make oatmeal on a TikTok?
Oat milk.
Oh, I thought you said oatmeal, and no, I'm like, really?
Milk. Yeah, oat milk.
It took you watching a TikTok to learn how to make oatmeal.
No, oat milk. You literally just use like 1 part oats to 3, say, well, it's like 1 cup to 6 cups of water. Put a little pinch of salt, and if you feel like a little couple drops of maple syrup or something, you blend that shit and you put it through a strainer, and that's it.
All right.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
That's it.
And it's actually really good.
Okay. I believe it.
That's the oat milk. So what we're saying is, we don't know where we're going to be in a week, Dan.
It's true.
Actually, in a week, I'll be in St. Louis.
That's
Please
true.
come to the Novel Neighbor. Oh my God, it's really happening. It's a week.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
I sent Maureen an email this morning being like, hey, you're going to be in the Chicago area next week. What's the story? And you're like, I don't have my itinerary yet.
No, I don't.
That would make me lose my mind.
Dan, I have landed in cities and not had the itinerary.
I can't.
I have landed. I remember one time I landed in Texas and I was like, okay, where am I going? Do I have a car? Do I know where, like, I don't know. Happens sometimes, but I'll find out soon.
Wow. And you, listener, will find out soon when the next Says Who is happening, because we are entering August.
I think I know where I'm staying.
Okay, well, that's good. Is it my house?
No.
Okay.
I'm already there. Look behind you.
Anyway, Says Who is made possible by you through your support of our Patreon at patreon.com/sayswho. That is where you get the Town Watch on many Sundays, including this one, because I forgot last time. Is that a memorial? I feel like that's an
It's okay. Dan, don't beat yourself up.
Anyway, we had recorded it, though. I feel bad about that.
Well, then we have an extra one.
That one's going to be hilarious, because I'm pretty sure we were like, who knows what's going to be happening by the time this comes out? And it turns out anything we imagined was anywhere close to wrong, because we didn't have JD Vance fucks furniture.
We didn't know.
We were babies.
We didn't know what was coming.
Anyway, through your support of our Patreon at patreon.com/sayswho, that's our Patreon, where for $5 or $10 you get that Town Watch. For $10 you also get a sticker in the mail because you become a member of the Says Who Sticker Club. It's always a great sticker. Anyway, patreon.com/sayswho. Our theme music was performed by Ted Leo, who is out on the road doing the 25th anniversary of his album Shake the Sheets tour. You should go to that because 1, it is a great album. 2, Ted is great. 3, he is an amazing live performer. Go do that. Our logo was designed by Darth. You can contact us at Says Who Podcast on Threads, at Says Who at omfg.town on Mastodon. You can email at that is HEY at sayswhopodcast.com. You can join the discussion on Facebook at /group/SaysWhovians. Our Facebook group is moderated by Janice Dillard. Thanks, Janice.
Thanks,
Janice. If you want to join the fan-run Discord server, you can always go to tinyurl.com/sayswhodiscord. But whatever you do, spread the word, subscribe, leave stars and reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is that you listen. And you can join us on We Don't Know for our very next episode. Maybe it'll be next week. It definitely won't be next Wednesday.
No, but
I'm pitching Maureen that we might find some time to do a little bit of in person, but we'll see because Maureen is busy and, as you can hear, also sick.
I'm fine,
but you will see us down the road, and nothing ever happens when we don't record, so it should be fine. And from my basement in Chicago, I am Dan Sinker.
I'm from New York City. I'm Maureen Johnson.
And this has been
Says Who. Says Who. Almost these.
Yeah, you can do that now. We're done.
We'll lay down.
Yeah, see, now we're waiting for you to sneeze. Everyone's waiting.
I don't think I have to cough. I had to cough instead.
You sound great.
I feel great.